trying to go live. Says we're live. Ladies and gentlemen, Kevin Epp.
Hey.
How are you, Kevin? We don't even know each other very well, so this is going to be really exciting.
No, yeah.
You must read my news. I think this came about because you read my newsletter, and then you replied, and I was like, oh, these are really good points. If you want to go live and talk about these, let's do it. So I think that's how it started, right?
Yeah, we're kind of in that way, you send out a lot of stuff about property management, but it's also kind of a meditation on like what is life, man, and I dig that. We don't know each other too well, but yeah, I would just send responses to your newsletters honestly as kind of a way to like get my thoughts together. You know what I'm saying? I read newsletters in the morning. I like to journal. I'm one of those guys. And yeah, I really enjoy yours. And yeah, one of yours, I'm looking at now, Some Feedback Will Destroy You, part 3 of 3. I really liked it. I congeal my thoughts together and just send it into the ether. And then you hit me back and you're like, hey, do you want to talk about this? And I was like, sure. This is all I like talking about,
Yes,
So,
let's go.
yeah.
All right. Well, let's introduce you. Who's Kevin Epp? Where are you from? What do you do? And then we'll dive into it.
For sure. So yeah, Kevin Epp. I'm 33. I live in Tacoma, Washington, right here.
Nice.
And I have my small property management business. I'm only at about 70 doors right now, actually.
Okay. Very cool.
And I'm married to my wife, Devin. So Kevin and Devin, and she's an attorney out here. But work is just one part of life. Of course, that's a means to an end for us in a lot of ways. So we're out here in Tacoma, so all the big mountain stuff. So we love doing all that. We've climbed all the volcanoes. I like skiing off the top of them, doing all that, and just trying to stay fit. Enjoy the outdoors. Again, it just kind of segues into what you talk about, man. Like fitness and mental toughness and stuff. It's more than just working and making money, man. Yeah.
Good. You're sucking all the marrow out of the bones of life, climbing those mountains. I love it, dude.
Trying, man. Yeah.
That's fantastic. You post this on Strava? Like, do you record this anywhere?
Baby, I'm on Strava. Come on now.
If it's not on Strava, it never happened, dude.
Did it ever occur? I'm actually in a like a punishing thing right now because I live in Tacoma, the city. So, like the day to day, if you can't get a big run in, it's like, where are you going to go? So right now on Strava, if you check my Strava, I did an 8-mile run, but I just ran the same like hill, maybe like 11 times. So it was a bunch of vertical gain. And all my friends were like, hey, Kev, is there something wrong? Like, is there something going on? Yeah. But you already know I'm on Strava. I'm not the I say fast like tractor, strong like tractor. So
nice. There you go.
Yeah.
You're the dude like with the rucksack on. I'm like, oh man, he's hiking the mountain with 20 pounds on. What's wrong with me? That's you.
Yeah, I'm huffing and puffing in the back, actually. Yeah. My first 50-mile race, I finished dead last. And that was
DFL.
Yeah, right. So that was humbling. But anyway, yeah.
Nice. Well, cool, man. So let's dive in. If I'm looking down, it's because I'm referencing your email.
Sweet.
The first thing you said is, I'm a recovering people pleaser. Tell me what that means to you. Tell me about that.
Yeah, man. So your entire, I'll answer these right, down the list as we bring them up. So
I was at whatever you want.
Okay. I'll start riffing. We got a whole hour, right?
Yeah. Yep. We're riffing. Go for it.
Okay, so I grew up, you can kind of tell I'm gregarious, and have you ever taken a DISC assessment?
I have.
Okay, right. So it just psychoanalyzes you. I don't know about you, but when that DISC assessment was done for me, I am, the person said, you are the highest I have ever seen in a person. I'm like a 96 or 97.
Wow.
It's so bad. It's so bad. And, a cynical person might be like, oh, politician or just trying all that. But at my core, I just want everybody to be happy, gelling, you know what I mean? Well, Jesus, wouldn't you know, in property management, that's kind of rare. I picked the wrong world for that, brother. And okay, so that's gonna answer number one, which is like any good small business owner, I found a mentor, right? And I like to have mentors. I think those people, they'll take you to the next level in everything in life. So specifically in property management, yeah, I sat down with a guy, and I'm talking within the first 10 minutes of conversation. He's like, Kevin, I'm a recovering people pleaser. And I was like, geez, I've never heard that. But that just explained like the past 7 years of my life where, not to get dramatic, but, whether it's personal relationships or work relationships, and not to try and simplify things down, but so many of the problems I was experiencing, I was like, dude, I just wasn't setting expectations because I was afraid of, we're talking about granular level stuff. I'm talking how it manifested, let's say in property management. It's like, oh, I don't want the owner to deny this maintenance request. I'm talking early on. I was like, oh man, I don't want this owner to deny this maintenance request. And I know the tenant is going to lose their mind, and it's only like $100. So you know what? I'll just cover it and smooth things over. It's like,
Oh
dude,
my gosh.
yeah, oh yeah,
You did not
real
do
bad.
that.
Oh yeah, real bad. I'm talking like month one, and I was like, this cannot happen. And this is just bringing like this people pleaser attitude, and just right away when it comes to brass tacks in a business, it's kind of held me accountable in that way, because literally you're not going to eat if that doesn't happen.
I love it.
But yeah, just in personal relationships, like setting expectations. It's
are you a progressive people pleaser, recovering people pleaser, or did you have like an aha moment, kind of a crucible experience where you're like, all right, that's it, I'm shifting this? Or like, was there a conversation, or has it been sort of progressive?
Yeah. Let's talk about that. Let's go. So, not to get like, I'll turn this into some therapy thing, but I had a lot of close friendships that seemed like all at once in my life. I was essentially getting taken advantage of, to be straight honest with you. And again, it's so easy to be a good dude. And honestly, it is so easy to just be a good dude, because all you do is roll over and say yes to everybody, right? I think it is almost, I heard this in a podcast and I was like, God, this resonates. It is almost selfish to be a good dude all the time, because all you have to do is say yes to everybody.
Oh, wow.
And just do whatever anybody says. It's almost selfish, because it's just like, oh yeah, I'll just be, I'll be this person that everybody loves, but it's not, it's not about me. And at the end of the day, I wasn't fulfilled. I was actually doing the worst thing, which is extending myself beyond what I should be and harboring resentment, which is awful. It's toxic. It's absolutely toxic. This was, whatever, like 7-8 years ago now. But talk about a crucible moment. I had to sit down in front of these people I'd known for a very long time, who were very close to me. And I was like, kind of corny. It's a phrase I'd heard. I don't know but people call them accountability moments or whatever, Okay, well, I kind of had that with like 3 or 4 very close people, and essentially said, hey, it's we will not be speaking unless things change. And they, were like, hey, effectively like, yeah, it's not going to change. And I was like, all right, I'll take it easy. So
whoa,
if you could imagine,
you just hit the nail on the head. You didn't like start, you confronted it. You confronted your people pleasing directly with some significant relationships, it sounds like.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. And again, it was all my doing, right? In a world where you can just shrug off and be like, oh, it's their problem, or it was on them. No, it was because day one, I allowed that, right? If day one you say, oh, sorry, you thought I was the type of person that you can treat like that. Oh, no, I'm not, right? My name's Kevin. This is whatever. This is how I spend my time. This is how you can communicate with me. If you set that standard from day one, and somebody then is like, oh, okay, and they start treating you as such, well, okay, you've done it. But what I did was I set a pattern of people pleasing. So honestly, I take accountability for everything that transpired.
I love the accountability. You mentioned mentor. I had a mentor once who said to me some things that were kind of disturbing to me at the time. He said, Mark, we leverage people in life. We're looking for the things that we can leverage over other people. And I thought, well, that's a real negative view of humanity. I'm not trying to leverage people, but when I reflected on that, and it's obviously stuck with me for years, I think nearly everyone, almost every imperfect person does leverage other people to a certain degree to get what they want or need out of life. And it's just the human condition that we need to expect people are going to leverage whatever they can against us. It's not because they're terrible. It's not because life's a sham. It's not because we can't have real relationships with people. And then the other thing he told me was, we train people how to teach us by what we tolerate.
Yeah,
And
that's
and
accurate.
and
Yeah.
and and a recent realization for me, and I can't remember if I've written this in the newsletter or not, is the only control we have in our relationships with other people, the only full thing that we can control in our relationships is no. And so it sounds like that's what you did is you said, "Hey, this is who I am. This is what's going to be okay. This is what's not going to be okay." And then they're like, "I'm not here for that." And then you exited.
For sure. And I was a young guy, like in my 20s, like early 20s, you're just getting out of college. You just, whatever, I'm still very immature. I'm 33 now. I bet 20 years from now, I'll be looking, man, I didn't know anything. Okay. So thus the riddle of life. I get it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
at that time, yeah, I just wanted everybody to be happy. I wanted to be well liked. And there's different brands of people in this world, and I've talked with friends, and it's like, man, I could feel, don't we all, when you get past, oh, let's talk about the weather and what you've been up to lately, and when you've hung out with family or friends for a while and you get to like the real deal, like how's life going, I can feel some of what buds or maybe an acquaintance may be saying, exactly similar to how I was saying stuff, and this mentor's like, Kevin, I'm a recovering people pleaser. And I was like, gee, like, oh my God, that's so accurate. But yeah, on that point, when I had, that accountability moment, if you will, I'm so being on Strava, right? I'm a psycho. I work out with no headphones or anything like that. And this stuff really bothered me, man, because again, I'm as high on that I index as it goes. So like this stuff weighed on me for a really long time. And it was interesting because when I did have those conversations, it wasn't one day it's all of a sudden like, whoa, what happened to Kevin? It was over years. You could feel it. You could feel the tension. And, yeah, when I had those conversations, it was like, man, I've had this conversation 1,000 times in my head. And, it was tough for me the first time to say no, right? If you're saying the only thing that you can control is no, that was like the first time in my life I really had to give like a hard no to somebody. And I'll finish with, you could almost see the relief in their faces when you say like, hey, this is how things are going to go. And they're like, oh, all right. And you can almost see it because now I've taken the onus on myself. Hey, this relationship isn't going to continue forward. That takes a lot off them because then they can say, oh, it was on Kevin. Kevin is the one that severed ties. And,
Oh, interesting.
and it's just kind of like an accountability thing where it's like, it is. And I'm choosing to move on, and that stinks. But, just as a grown man or just as an adult, yeah, you got to own your decisions, and this is for the better. And you could almost see the relief on their side being like, yeah, I could kind of feel the same thing. And neither one of us was wanting to have that conversation. Do you know what I'm saying?
I do. I love
Yeah.
how you took responsibility and leadership of the relationship. And when other people, that's a really interesting reframe. I like how you put this. So what I got from this was when we let other people leverage us in an unhealthy manner because we're trying to please them, they also recognize somewhere in their core that it's not right what they're doing to us. And it's almost a relief in a way when we take the responsibility and put a boundary in place and say, this isn't going to happen anymore. It's almost a relief to them too, because they were engaged in this dance that was unhealthy for both parties. And now we've just released them from that, even if it means we're not going to have a relationship with them anymore.
Yeah. And I 100% agree. I mean, how does it manifest brass tacks in my life? Let's just talk something common between you and I. Property management, right? When I'll hear a vendor, don't you have that all-star vendor who will say, hey, I won't charge you for this or that. today in my life, I'll say, no, I'd appreciate it if you just charge me for what is fair for you. Right. Like if I'm paying for it, or if the owner was expecting a certain price, right? I'm not going to create this relationship where, because I've been on the backside of it, where if that vendor now does 20 work orders for me or whatever, 100, and we have a work, now they feel like, I'm always giving Kevin a discount, right? And it's like, no, I want this to be healthy and fair for both people, even if that means, sure, I could, take advantage or leverage you. But that just, man, what's the point of living, man? Like, what's the point of all this? Yeah.
There's a ledger, in every relationship. Sometimes the cost of free is really high. There's nothing. I remember I was serving a mission for my church. It was 1998, and I was in Taiwan. And there was this young Chinese guy, and he was like showering all these missionaries with free gifts, which was kind of cool because we were on a budget. Like, we couldn't spend a certain amount, over a certain amount each month. And we had to eat, we had to buy our own food with that budget that we were given. And so this guy was buying like electronic devices and taking missionaries out to dinner. And he was like our age. It was like he was like a friend. And I remember it kind of changed my whole life perspective, just a very small conversation, just one of those crucible conversations. And one of the missionaries said, I've declined everything that he's tried to give me. There's a cost to accepting gifts. There's a cost to accepting favors. And if it's not clear and the other person's character can't really back up that check they're writing, or they're going to come cash that check in the future, like I'm building up an obligation in accepting these favors, accepting these acts, and it's dishonest and naive to think that ledger balance is zero. And it's interesting how how does that idea tie in with this recovering people pleaser? If we're a people pleaser, I guess the reverse is also true, right, Kevin? Like, if we're constantly contributing to other people, like you said earlier, it was building up resentment. If we're contributing to other people, and then we have this unspoken expectation of reciprocity, because that's a true principle in life, is reciprocity.
That's real. Yeah, that's
right?
real. Yeah.
And so either giving it or receiving it, and trying to pretend like there's no ledger, or the ledger doesn't matter, or it doesn't exist, like, that doesn't work out in the end, does it?
Yeah. And to your point, if someone heard this, a cynical person, which I refuse to be, would say, well, then that means everything's transactional and everything must have, and that's not it. Like, I say this a lot. Our ape brain will betray us at every corner. And, unconditional love and all these things for family and okay, I got it. But family also provides a tremendous amount of value for me. If though unspoken value for me, it feels good to my dumb ape brain to have human beings who are like me and love me and and do those things. It doesn't have to be about money, but there is. If people are continually extending themselves, it's like, listen, the well's going to run dry. I don't care if you're Mother Teresa, man. Like, people burn out, and knowing that all of us are not these saints, it's like, okay, I know that the average human being, you got a couple few favors and then they might call it in. And I hope it's, not for, I hope it's for a favor that you agree with. You know what I mean? I don't know.
I think there's this transcendence once we get past the people pleasing phase, and then we get to an abundance phase, right? When we stop thinking in transaction, we start thinking in partnership, where both parties can give to each other generously and both experience a surplus, and trust is really high. And we're aware enough, we have developed the character where we're aware enough about what we need from somebody else, that we don't overgive, but that we could truly give without the immediate thought of reciprocity. Alex Hormozy talked about joining this mastermind at one point. I think he paid like 30 grand, and they're like this incoming class of like the cohort of like people that came in at the same time he did, and they had like sort of this initial meeting, and he remembers hearing this one guy. He's like, okay, what's my ROI on my 30 grand? Like, when am I going to start getting back? And Alex Hormozy's like, this guy was like had such the wrong mindset. He went in thinking like, I'm going to try to give my very best for free to everybody in this cohort. And it was, he could rewrite people's sales scripts. He was a master at writing sales scripts. So he offered to rewrite everybody's sales script, and willingly, and with the character to back that up without resentment and reciprocity requirements, right? But then he knew in so doing that he had this abundance, generous, like, I want to give to everybody, so that he knew that he could call on them, because they also had the character to be able to answer that call without resentment, and that he had a sort of a blank check in their pocket. So you can call that transaction. I think at a lower level of existence, a lower level of being, it is transactional, and it does breed resentment. But I think with enough character development, people can come into partnership and give generously and know that they're going to have that reciprocity, but not demand it and not get angry about it, right? There's a different level there.
So if you listen to Hormozy, he'll frequently say much exists in the ambiguous, and like, you need to get specific. So like, in a specific sense, I guess, how does that manifest itself for you? Abundance mindset, giving, etc. Like, how do you practice it? Because I 100% agree. But like, for you, Mark, how do you do it? What's something that comes to mind?
One of my favorite authors is Ray Dalio, and he talks a lot about second and third order consequences. Like, you and I don't run because of the first order consequences of the time it takes and the discomfort it produces. We're running because of second order consequences, or even third order. Second order consequence, my body gets stronger. Third order consequence is like, I have these transcendent experiences while I'm running ultra races. Like, so I think part of it for me is rewiring our brain to orient to second and third order consequences. It's the law of the harvest. It's I'm planting seeds, and all I'm doing, on a daily basis is planting seeds that for the most of my time now. And I love it, because when you plant seeds that don't have a direct line of sight to like immediate profit or immediate trade exchange, you're able to plant seeds that have exponential growth benefits. And what's kind of cool and also scary is you don't know when they're going to come back around. Like, I'm talking to you right now on a live stream. Like, how is this making me money? Dude, I didn't charge you.
But this is the spice of life. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, why would I run? Well, it's healthy and longevity and whatever, but also because I enjoy it. My dumb ape brain, it just feels good, dude, and we shouldn't exist off of strictly dopamine or endorphins, but at some point it's like, man, that's the spice of life. Why would I do one quality of work or one level of work and it would be X amount of my time, but I could make the same amount of money doing a little bit less quality of work? Well, because that's just the spice of life, is to be the dude.
How you do anything is how you do everything also. Like it is about character. It is about the level. It is the level of vibration you're living at. And if you violate that, you're moving down that ladder. Like, I believe that how you do anything is how you do everything. Like, a few years ago during COVID, I was in this mastermind group, and we had a volunteer mentor that was leading the group. And there was this debate about like, well, we should go online because that's the policy, and we have COVID and we shouldn't infect each other. And the guy said, yeah, but I'm the only one that can manage my energy, and I need it to be in person. And that really sort of confused me. Like, what in the heck is he talking about? Manage my energy? Like, what? I've never heard of anybody talking about managing their energy. And what a goofy thing. This is like, you either decide to do it or not. And that stuck with me. And I've reflected on that over the years. Like what is managing your energy? I'm the only one that can do it. And you call it dopamine. I think one other abstract idea. Dan Sullivan says, I'm looking for relationships that work. I'm not looking to work on relationships. And I think that's true in everything but family. Like family, like we work on those relationships. Unless you have a terrible marriage, and then you should get out. Sorry, private share there. But everything else with family is like you work on it. But everything else is like I'm choosing the relationships that I'm in. Is this relationship giving me energy, or is it sucking energy from me? Is this task giving me energy or draining me of energy? I've found that when I've purposely made choices that orient my life to doing the things and being with the people that give me energy, guess what? I can show up as closer to the best version of myself. And when I do that, I create more value and I can engage in abundant partnership and I receive value back. So there's something about that energy that's extremely important, right? And that's why we're talking right now. This gives me energy. I love doing this.
So property management and having a little small business, again, I honestly find as a very fun, creative expression, truthfully, not in the sense of it's some tremendous thing that we're creating, right? It is a boring service business. A guy who works in commercial laundry, I was commiserating with him. I was like, talking boring business, world domination with him. And he goes, yes, it is the ultimate conversation ender. And I was like, that's so perfect. But I think it's great, right? I think it's great because when you cannot attach your ego really to what you're doing, it's then, or rather the profession, right? You're never going to sit down and you're going to go, oh, I'm a property manager. And then someone goes,
I make fun of it. I'm like, I'm in the glamorous business of property management. And then they laugh.
Right. Yeah. And then they're probably not like, wow, like tell me about maintenance. Like it's over. And if someone at the table's like, I'm got my PhD for, like, it will focus on them. And I think that's honestly awesome because
it's a blessing.
Yes, it is an absolute blessing. I love it because when you cannot attach your ego to what you are doing, honestly, for, let's just say Monday through Friday, right? Your standard work day. It's like, all right, you got to focus on like what actually brings you energy. I truly mean this from like the fiber of my being. I love having, whether it's property management, I was thinking about any other small kind of, it's not a pejorative term, boring business to operate in when I was first looking at businesses. But I love it because it's like a creative expression. I mean, I'm talking brass tacks. I can choose how the CRM is. I can get to hire people that bring me energy, just how you're talking about. And I love that because at the end of the day, it is like, it is how you spend your time. I don't know. I have so much on this, dude.
And this ties back to people pleasing too. If we are people, like if we're really aware of our energy level, if we develop a self-awareness about like, what am I doing in my day that gives me energy and takes away energy? And then we get audacious enough to think like, I can make tons of money doing only things that give me lots of energy and feel totally fulfilled and be completely like high integrity in everything I do and live my best life. Like all of those. There's a book called Crucial Conversations, and it's a fantastic read, a must read, I think, in business in general. And one of the principles it talks about is the sucker's choice. When somebody thinks that they have to choose between A and B, and it's actually lazy sometimes to think like, well, there's a dichotomy here. It's either A or B. Like, no. I can do all these things. I can do only things that give me energy and make plenty of money and only engage in abundant partnership mentality and it's the person who's audacious enough to believe all of those things can exist all at the same time and require life to give those things to them and holds themselves against the candle, the discomfort of the flame of like, oh, I don't see it yet. And just like in an act of faith say, nope, I'm not compromising on any of these things. Life's going to give me all of these things. And in exchange, I'm going to give life my very best. And I have to manage my energy to do so. That's the person that lives the uncommon life.
Yeah. I'll tell you this, Mark, those conversations I was talking about, right? Having those like 3 or 4 hard conversations with these people. Have you ever seen Fight Club? You know Fight Club?
I know of Fight Club. I don't think I've watched it.
Okay. I'm gonna describe a scene in Fight Club that
Yeah.
is pretty fun, but it is like a great descriptor of what occurred. So it's a wild scene where they Tyler Durden and the main character, I forget his name, they pull a like a 7-Eleven clerk out back, and it's insane. He puts a gun to the clerk's face, and he's like, "Hey, if you do not, what do you want to be in life? Like, if you died right now, would you have been anything? All this stuff." And the guy's all freaked out, and he says, "If you are, what did you want to be?" And he's like, "I wanted to be a doctor or a veterinarian or something." And he's like, "What are you doing here?" And he flips him his ID, and he's like, "If you are not on your way to becoming a veterinarian in 7 days, like, we'll find you and kill you," just to like freak this guy out. And the main character, and I listen, it gets better. Okay. It's a crazy violent, movie and extreme scene. But what's important there is the guy runs away, and like any normal human being, like you and I, he looks at the guy who just did that, because he was like a passenger to this. And he's like, "Why would you, what did you just do? What is that? Like, why did you do that?" And he says, like, whatever that guy's name is, like Steve Smith. He's like, "Tomorrow will be the most beautiful day of Steve Smith's life. His breakfast will taste better than any breakfast you or I has ever had," because finally he has, though through an extreme thing, he's trying to say, "Hey, I finally put that dude back on life to what he's supposed to be." Right? He's just been floating through life. I'll go get a job. Oh, okay, I'll do what my parents say. I was too scared to go to veterinarian school, but that's really what I wanted to do, right? And in the same sense, this is a little different, but when I had those hard conversations, the final one, when they were like, "Hey, do you want to come over?" You just know this is the hard conversation that's going to occur, right? And I was like, "Okay, sure, yeah, I'll swing on by." I bought myself a pizza, Mark. And I was like, I bought myself a pizza, and I was like, this pizza will taste better than any pizza anyone has ever had. Like and I literally, because I'm telling you, I had that conversation a lot in my life. So this is
Let's
a
go.
specific example. And so when I finally had that conversation, I got back in the car, and it wasn't like, "Oh yeah, I stuck it to," there's nothing like that. That is, all of this was coming from pure, like, I really thought on this, man. It was so hard to do these things for me. Again, like, you barely know me, but I'm trying to convey to you, like,
Yes.
how hard this was for me. And I did these things, and I was like, I can finally like get back on my authentic life. You know what I'm saying? I could be
Yeah.
who I am. We're talking about bringing energy to your life, and whatever. I don't, what is it? I want relationships at work. I won't work on relationships. It's like,
Exactly.
listen, man, there's 7 billion people. I bet there's a bunch of people who don't like a bald dude who talks too much. All right, I got it. I'm not, and for a long time, that would have bothered me, right? As a person who has a high I, who's very gregarious, that would have bothered me, man. But now I'm like, no, and there's nothing wrong with that person neither. Hey, you got your own brand and how you want to live your life, and you're a fine person, but it's not for me. And for a long time, that bothered me if that didn't click. But after having those hard conversations, I swear to God, Mark, I bought a pizza, and I was like, I'm not celebrating, sticking it to anybody. It's more so like, no, I can finally be like proud of myself, who I, wanted to be. And I can finally be treated, I think, how I could be treated. And I'll be honest, it was kind of bad not bad, but like, oh man, I don't have these old buds that I used to hang out with. I had to have hard conversations. In certain groups of people, they might, view you as that guy who cut strings, right? But I'll tell you this, Mark, on the flip side, call it my new life. Post that, it's nothing but positive. It is super strong relationships. People who enjoy me for who I am, who want to hear me for who I can speak freely and not feel judged. It's like, Jesus, there's a lot to be said for that,
Oh, I am so
Yeah,
excited. I
yeah.
love this story. Oh, I love the image I have in my head. You eating that pizza, just like loving on yourself. Nice job, Kevin.
Yeah,
That's so
aren't
great.
you so proud of me?
And
Aren't you so
the
proud?
courage to do that, to have those conversations. I've been there, man. Like, I understand that. It's like, it's a similar energy to being 40 miles into a 50-mile race and thinking like, I'm done. This sucks. I'm not doing this. And then you face that, you keep putting your feet in front of each other, and then like somehow you transcend it. But even more so, like that's not even a great analogy. It's the courage to face and transcend the shame of going against what we thought we were supposed to do our whole lives up until that point. I'm supposed to make everybody around me feel good. I'm supposed to make everybody else comfortable, regardless of my discomfort. That's what it means to be a good person, you know? And then we challenge that. And then we actually transcend it and say, like, actually, I like, we shake those shackles off. We say, I don't have to require that of my God doesn't require that of me, actually. And so I can be a great person and have boundaries, and I can be a great person and not everybody love me. And I remember this little video clip that a friend of mine sent to me. And the guy's on stage, this goofy influencer guy, and the guy interviewing him says, "Well, tell us about the haters." And he goes, "This is not a guy I normally would have associated with, like in high school or something." Like, he's like, "The haters? Oh yes, the haters. They are bringing such great energy. You just,
Yeah,
no wonder this dude has haters." But
yeah.
but he's like, if you don't have haters, you need to dial it up. It's like you're not actually doing the world any favors by living small and blending in and bleaching out your personality so you don't ruffle anybody's feathers.
Or at the very least, you probably just aren't discovered. Because I don't care who you are. We're all human. And I bet someone would vehemently disagree with how you're living your life, Mark. And you're like, wait a second, I put so much effort into like thinking about thinking.
Everybody should approve of me.
Right. Right. It's like, wait a second. And it's like, nah, man, it's because you've just been a generally anonymous person. Most of us are just generally anonymous people. I truthfully, side note, I think that's kind of a privilege in this world. Everybody wants to be some big time celebrity. I think to myself, man, sure, that'd be kind of cool to feel that for a day or what have you. I say everybody, but you know what I mean? Whoa, wouldn't it be wild to be an A-list celebrity? That'd be kind of crazy. You make all this money and you're so popular. And then there's a part of me, it's like, let's flip it on its head. What should I be grateful for in this moment? Anonymity. Like I could walk around and people aren't bothering you. I could say things and I'm not being videotaped all the time. It's just like, you could list any number of things, and I'm not trying to like conflate that, but yeah, if you got plenty of haters, it's probably just because you've been discovered. It's like, Jesus, or you voiced your opinion, really is what you're saying. It's because you voiced your opinion once. Oh, wouldn't you know, to any opinion, there's going to be a flip side, and there's 7 billion of us and someone might have that. It's like, all right, I get it.
I love
But
it.
it's tough for a people pleaser. I'm recovering, right? I'm not over it.
People pleaser.
Yeah, brother.
Let's close it out with this. How has people pleasing or the recovery from your previous people pleasing, how has that impacted your business? We talked a little bit about, relationships and property management with maybe owners and tenants. Like, where are you at right now in your people pleasing journey with putting good boundaries around owners? How is that showing up in your business?
Yeah. How I do it, easier said than done. Everything I want to caveat with everything I'm saying is easier said than done. But I try to operate dispassionately and just try to be very efficient. Honestly, I zoom out and I think to myself, okay, someday there's going to be an AI agent who does what you are doing, Kevin. How would they do it? Right now, I have to use my 2 little fingers and type something out and make a cordial greeting or an email or respond to an owner. So I try to do it as dispassionately as possible and strictly speak to facts. I was in the military for a while, and there's literally a format in which you report up and down. And if there's any time to be dispassionate about something, it's when you're reporting something in the military. So I try to dispassionately report things. This is what is occurring. This is what we've done about it. And this is the way forward on the issue. At no point in time am I talking about, how I feel about it. Should the tenant do it or not? It's, does the lease say it? Does the law say we must do it? And do you want to do it, owner? If one of those two doesn't meet it, do you even want to do it in the first place? Let's just say like something that let's just say in a maintenance item that does not need to be done, but it would make the tenant comfortable and it might keep them in there longer. Okay. If the owner has to chew on that, but at no point in time am I trying to add my emotion into it. Well, guess what? when you're disrespected by people, it's kind of hard as a human being to be like, oh yeah, that's fine. I'm just a punching bag. So, I started with this. It is easier said than done, but I try as much as possible to be dispassionate about it. And I think of it more so, if we're talking about it as a business side of it, to be like the adjudicator of the lease law and being very responsive. That's really just like what I'm trying to do right now. And again, I've only been doing it 2 years. I'm at 70 units. I'm small peanuts right now, but it's worked well so far as the people pleasing side of it, because it almost is able to take my ego out of it. It takes Kevin out of it. It takes, it's not personal. If you didn't exist, Kevin, these owners would have gone to a different property manager, but here you are. And it's probably because you just responded back faster, right, to some other owner lead. Okay. So don't make it all about you. Again, easier said than done. I'll finish and say, so that's the owner side of it. On the tenant side of it, I think at this point in time, you probably, Mark, aren't talking to too many tenants, but I'm still talking to tenants and operating on that side. Okay. On my side, when I'm, oftentimes, or not oftentimes, but when you get that tenant who's just like, hey, like, you just want to be like, hey, brother, there's a human on the other side of this phone, dude. Like, I have feelings. Like, hello, is this on? Like, hello, I'm hello. But on that side of the house, I think to myself, and I'm like, if there's somebody to take it out on, sometimes it's going to be a property manager. And the worst thing I could do is make this about me, because at the end of the day, in many cases, as a property man, I do single family homes. You are operating what is very likely the most expensive asset that family owns. And they are hiring you to shut up and take it, dude. That is part of your paycheck. So set expectations correctly and be dispassionate about it. And, if you're trying to stick it to somebody or something like that, it just is wild for me to think that somebody could. It's not wild because, again, it's easier said than done. But when that inkling of like, God, how could they say that to me? It's like, you know what, man, just take your ego out of it. It's not about you. Again, I'm just trying to adjudicate the lease and law and be very responsive.
Nice. I love it.
I don't know. It's not some super deep.
Good. It's good. Yeah. It helps you. It's where you're at right now with your people pleasing, with your business. There's a lot. There's all of us, unless you're a sociopath running a property management company, all of us have struggled with this, right? And there are sociopaths out there. I've met them. One thought that came to me, and I'll finish with this. It took me over 10 years to identify and be able to articulate what my needs in this partnership were with my clients. And then it took a little bit more time to get brave enough to lay it out there. I think property management has a way of like sort of wearing you down. I love your comments, Melissa. Thank you for being here. Property management has a way of wearing you down so that eventually you kind of have to face yourself. And you have to decide, either I'm out of this industry, I'm burned out, or I'm going to have a different type of relationship because things come to a head. It's just too draining. And so what ended up for me is I got really clear. I needed 3 levels of support from clients. I needed process support. You have to look at me as the subject matter expert for this to be a win for me. Number 2, financial support. I'm running your business. You need reserves. Every business needs reserves. If you don't have them, we can't work together. And if I get a sense that you don't have enough money to invest back into this property, this isn't going to work for me. Not doing it. 3rd, and this was the hardest one, the most vulnerable one, was emotional support. Like, I need you to actually, and this is hard to say, like in the beginning, like, actually one of my needs in our relationship is I need you to be my cheerleader. I need you to cheer me on when things get difficult, because they will get difficult. I need you to have my back, and I need you to operate with the utmost of professional courtesy and decorum, because if we work together long enough, we'll have some dicey moments, and that's what I need from you. And I need that commitment, and I'll remind you of this commitment. And so we now have that part of our initial sales script, and it's in our owner handbook. And yeah, man, life's too short. Let's give the clarity to people that want to show up and have a partnership with us, and then let's back it up and and let's not be ashamed to know that we deserve love, and that we have to give ourselves love by having the right boundaries and the right relationships, and not settle for anything less.
You have owners sending you Christmas cards now. That's what you're like, hey, all of you guys will actually send me cards thanking
Yes.
me. Yeah, exactly.
I am not just doing this for money. If you think I'm doing this for money, we've got the wrong start of this relationship. Like, I'm doing this because I want to partner with you, and money, I wouldn't do it without the money. Let's be clear. But you got to give me way more than money. You got to give me way more than my management fee for this to work for me.
Hey, I mean, so you've been in my shoes at one point. So let's take everything we've talked about, right? And the people pleasing and stuff like that. Well, brass tacks, you got to have properties to, make it a career. And at 70 units, I've just been able to start kind of having enough money to where I can say no.
Good.
And God, and all these hard conversations we were talking about that I had to have. Well, whatever adage you want to use, but essentially, hey, every year you should take a hard look at okay, let's use Alex Hormozy. Who's your most expensive clients, right? The people that are not meeting what you need to, not meeting where you need to be, right? Or the people who are taking too much of your time for what you get paid. And I'm looking forward to honestly having a couple of those conversations. Did I freeze up a little bit, by the way?
You froze up. I don't know what
Sweet.
happened.
Oh, shoot.
You just came back in.
Where did I lose you? Bro?
You said Alex Hormozy talks about, and then it froze.
Sweet. Alex Hormozy talks about cutting your most expensive clients. So the people who take up way too much of your time and you're getting paid way too little for it. And in the same way in which I had those hard conversations at one point in time, again, completely dispassionate. Fortunately for me, it's not personality conflicts with some of these owners. It's just more so, hey, your property has a tremendous amount of maintenance. It's not in the area in which I rent anymore. And I also have contacts who truthfully maybe even, service you better than I can, right? And so I'm looking forward to, now that I can say no, bringing this all full circle, I'm looking forward to sitting down and having those conversations, not because I'm looking forward to a hard conversation and cutting somebody, no, but I'm looking forward to being able to, cut some of the slack off of my business. And those owners could potentially be just how those people were when I had hard conversations with them, those close relationships I had. These owners may be relieved and be like, you know what? Yeah, Kevin's also given us 2 or 3 referrals for other property managers that might work better. Anyways, for what it's worth. Yeah.
Love it. Okay, man. Thanks for the time today. I'm going to be cheering you on as you build your property management business. I love the spot you're in. I remember being there and like finally being able to say no, and like the reaper wasn't at your heels like for your like monthly pay. It's like the Maslow hierarchy. We're moving up, and we're like being more selective. It's a beautiful place to be, and a lot of momentum can build from there. So I'll be cheering you on. But thank you so much, Kevin, for joining me. Really enjoyed this conversation. High point of my day so far. And so thanks for showing up and giving me some energy here. Appreciate it.
Lucky to be here. I really appreciate you, man. Thanks for reaching out.
All right. Take care.